One of the most valuable lessons in learning to diminish fear is embodied in the phrase, "Say yes to your universe." I first heard these words from a wonderful teacher of mine, and when I asked her what she meant, she said, "It's simple. Whatever happens to you in life, just nod your head up and down instead of side to side. Just say yes instead of no." Over the years, I've incorporated this phrase into my life and work with magical results. The term universe refers to that life plan that seems to take over despite what we have in mind, that force operating seemingly on its own that very often interferes with our picture of how we would like things to be. So often when we're all set to move in a specific direction, an unexpected event happens to change everything. Those unexpected events, or even the possibility of the unexpected, sets us up for a great deal of fear. We anticipate the worst. Just remember this: when you say yes, you diminish your fear. The phrase "say yes" means to agree to those things that life hands us. Saying yes means letting go of resistance and letting in the possibilities that our universe offers in terms of new ways of seeing the world. It means to relax your body and calmly survey the situation, thereby reducing upset and anxiety. Aside from the emotional benefits, the physical benefits are enormous. Conversely, saying no means to be a victim. The victim says, "How could this happen to me?" Saying no means to block, to fight, to resist opportunities for growth and challenge. Saying no creates tension, exhaustion, wasted expenditure of energy, emotional upheaval, or worse, it creates apathy. I can't cope. I can't go on. There is no hope. The truth of the matter is that saying yes is our only hope. Saying yes does not mean giving up and accepting in the negative sense. It means getting up and acting on your belief that you can create meaning and purpose in whatever life hands you. I found the most extreme and moving example of saying yes in the pages of Viktor Frankl's book, Man's Search for Meaning, which was about his experience in a concentration camp. As I read it, I painfully pushed through page after page of descriptions that defy human comprehension. I couldn't keep back my tears. But as I continued to read, my heart slowly started to lighten. Not only had Frankl and others like him faced the concentration camp, but according to the definition I just gave you, they actually said yes to their universe. They were able to create a positive experience out of what life handed them. They were able to find personal meaning and growth and a way of seeing the world that created value from their experience. As Frankl wrote, "The experiences of camp life show that a man does have a choice of action. There were enough examples, often of a heroic nature, which proved that apathy could be overcome, irritability suppressed. Man can preserve a vestige of spiritual freedom, of independence of mind, even in such terrible conditions of psychic and physical stress. We who lived in concentration camps can remember the men who walked through the huts comforting others, giving away their last piece of bread. They may have been few in number, but they offer sufficient proof that everything can be taken away from a man but one thing, the last of the human freedoms, to choose one's attitude in any given set of circumstances, to choose one's way. The way in which a man accepts his fate and all the suffering it entails, the way in which he takes up his cross, gives him ample opportunity, even in the most difficult circumstances, to add a deeper meaning to his life." As I finished the last page, I knew that a dramatic change had taken place within me. I would never again experience fear with the same intensity I had experienced it before reading the book. I knew that if Frankl was able to create something positive out of his experience, which was the worst my mind could imagine, then I and everyone else could create value out of anything life could possibly hand us. It is a matter of remaining conscious that we have the choice. I had an opportunity to test out the value of saying yes in my own life when I had a mastectomy a number of years ago. I remember lying in my hospital bed the day after the operation thinking, "Okay, Susan, for years you've been teaching others how to say yes to the universe. Can you say yes to something as potentially devastating as a mastectomy?" At that moment I realized I had the choice. Say no and become the victim. Why did this happen to me? Or say yes and take on the challenge of creating something positive out of my situation. My answer to myself was a resounding yes. I began by looking around at the many cards and bouquets of flowers I had received from friends and family and realized, perhaps for the first time in my life, how much people cared for me. That was a beautiful realization. The man in my life had been a source of great comfort. Indeed, he had revealed to me a magnificent, nurturing part of his nature that I had never seen before. As a result, our relationship deepened enormously. In fact, it was this experience that convinced us we wanted to spend the rest of our lives together, and a short time later we were married. I have been asked what would have happened if he left me instead. My answer is that I would have learned early in the relationship that this was a man with whom I would not want to spend the rest of my life. I would have felt hurt, but I would have gotten over that. I'd have handled it. I then decided to take total responsibility for the situation and began to think about what I might have done to create cancer in my body. I examined my diet and realized that I had abused myself by eating very unhealthy food. I immediately made the decision to become a healthier eater. I also realized that I was carrying around a lot of anger from the past, anger at my parents, my ex-husband, my children, and so on. I knew that anger has often been associated with cancer. I made a decision to really work at letting go of that anger and opening up my heart so that I could give and receive love more freely. As I was able to do this, all my relationships improved, and so did the quality of my life. I know that it is not easy to say yes when a child is gravely ill, if you become physically disabled, if you lose your job, or if your spouse dies. But people do it all the time. The world is filled with people who have been handed the worst life has to offer, and they have come out winners. Remember that in saying yes to your universe lies the antidote to all your fears. Say it with me now. Yes, 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 yes.